What's good, people? It's about that time to randomly relate, reverse rants, no hate. Now, let's take a listen to this. This is basically a science guy speaking about drug testing and the possibilities of false alarms. Let's take a listen.
Why does everyone get so hung up about having to take a drug test? If you're not on vitamin B pills or sleep aids or ibuprofen or had a poppy seed muffin, you have nothing to hide. What's up, science junkies? Julian here for D News. If you're applying for certain jobs or life insurance, you may have to take a drug test. In some states here in the U.S., applicants for government assistance have to pass a drug test as well. That's a bit of a controversial topic, but regardless of where you stand on it, you probably agree that someone who isn't using illegal drugs shouldn't be denied a job or insurance or aid just because the test they took resulted in a false positive. So, these drug tests had better be pretty foolproof, right? Well, they may not be up to stuff. It's estimated they produce false positives in 5 to 10% of cases. Judy Stone of Scientific American estimated that, taking into account normal drug use rates, about 9 out of every 1,000 people will test positive for a drug they have not taken. Part of the reason these tests sound a false alarm is because the list of things that sets them off is surprisingly long. The painkiller ibuprofen can cause a test to show positive for marijuana, barbiturates, or benzodiazepines. Cold remedies, hay fever remedies, diet pills, and nasal decongestants can show up as amphetamines. And if you like to unwind with a poppy seed muffin and gin and tonic, the poppies or quinine in the tonic water can both trip the alarm for opiates. And, of course, eating foods with hemp seeds or taking vitamin B supplements derived from hemp seed oil can have trace amounts of THC, the active ingredient in marijuana. There are many varieties of drug tests, and they all have their strengths and weaknesses. Ideally, they strike a balance between accuracy, cost, and invasiveness. Like, a blood test is the most accurate, but a lot of people have a problem with needles. Hair tests aren't as invasive, but they can be expensive depending on how many substances they're looking for, and some shampoos can throw off the scent. By far, the most common method uses urine samples. The tests use immunoassays, which are biochemicals that bond to specific macromolecules and give off an indicator reaction. They're pretty accurate, but not perfect. So, positive results often undergo a second test. A gas chromatography/mass spectrometry test analyzes another urine sample, usually taken from the original. The sample is pushed through a tubular column by helium gas, and certain drugs pass through it at certain known speeds. Once it gets to the end of the column, it's fragmented with ionization, and the fragments are sorted by mass. Again, certain drugs have specific and known fragmentation patterns, so these two tests together can give scientists a pretty solid idea of exactly what chemicals are present. The test is more expensive, but the positive results are rarely wrong. Not all drug tests are designed to see if someone has been using. Some are designed to test if an object has been in contact with illicit substances or if something is a drug itself. Law enforcement uses these when investigating drug dealers, but they aren't perfect either. In 2003, a college freshman flying home for the holidays was stopped in a Philadelphia airport because she had condoms filled with white powder in her bag. She claimed it was flour, a gag gift from girlfriends, and that she squeezed them for stress relief. But sadly, when the white powder was tested, it didn't vindicate her, coming up positive for opium and cocaine. She spent 3 weeks in jail and could have gone to prison for 20 years had more accurate tests not cleared her name. I'm sure she realizes her mistake now, but for all of you out there, let me just reiterate, do not bring white powder in condoms through airports. It looks a little suspicious. So, certain innocuous drugs can trip a drug test, but that's not the only risk. For why mixing certain drugs can make you dead, you can turn to Trace over here.
Doctors need to keep a watchful eye on what medications each of us are taking, because sometimes when drugs mix inside of our bodies, the results are dangerous or deadly.
Do you think the margin of error is good enough, or just one innocent person losing their job is unacceptable? You can have your say down in the comments or on Twitter with the hashtag AskDNews. Subscribe for more, and I'll see you next time on D News.
Now, I wanted to watch this because this is a science guy, okay? He's a scientist, right? And listen, this is what I'm saying. Now, you just heard it from him that there are times, you heard the percentage and everything. This was way too much. I'm not a scientist, okay? Well, this is way too much for me to try to memorize and paraphrase and be accurate with exactly what's being said. So you heard it from this guy. People have tested positive for something without even taking anything. Certain things that you're eating. So you heard what he just said. When we say that people need to be careful of what they eat, what they put in their body, I would suggest listen, it takes a lot of discipline. to just stay so strict to a particular diet, but just eat the same things. Eat the same things. Annoy yourself if you have to find out whether if you're talking to a doctor or whoever, VADA testing, whatever. And I'm referencing mostly, with boxing, but just in general, like to hear that, like you heard what he said. And people to go, yeah, but VADA, they're this and they're that. They're human beings. I don't want to hear that bullshit. They're human beings. Okay. This is a situation where somebody can be completely innocent, eat a particular thing. How many times have you been somewhere and somebody has something and then nothing harmful, nothing that you would think is going to show up in your system? So it's easy if you've eaten something that you normally don't eat, but to remember, wait, I ate such and such a thing. But how long ago was this? And it's something that you might even be thinking about. This is what I'm saying about the childishness, how we just jump conclusions and start making our own conclusions, where the discipline that you need to have so you don't pop dirty for anything, the discipline that you need to have and the patience with yourself, it gets annoying. You have to keep calling people for something. Well, eat the same type of foods. Sometimes people get these cravings, man. I want, I'm in the mood for this or this, stuff like that. And then if you're eating, and look, and this applies to people that's clean. I'm not talking about anything else. That should be common sense. Okay. But you heard what this guy just said. There's people that pop dirty for something and they didn't do anything. Okay. It's something that they ate, something, even medications and stuff, even for sinus, medicines for sinus and stuff. He's telling you there's things in there that can show up in your system. If someone has a sinus issue, if you've ever had bad sinuses, for me, man, I clog up so bad, it's miserable. So for someone to have that, what do you think they're going to go into a fight like that? Can't breathe? Of course not. But you have to run whatever you're using by, whatever testing organization you're using. You have to do your part. You have to be smart. Simple. But this is what I'm saying. And this is why I'm not so quick to make judgment. I always, look, I'm about being fair, calling it down the middle. And that's how I'm always going to be. Pause. All right, y'all. Let's take a listen to this. This one is also interesting. Let's listen to this right here.
Dr. Nussi from Easy DOT Physicals back again with another video. A very important video here. Very simple and straightforward, but very important. Something that can trip a lot of people up when they go in to get their drug test performed. So today, what we're going to talk about is the number one thing that I think either delays people's drug test results or causes them to have to retest or retake their drug test. All right, and that number one thing that causes people to either have their drug test results delayed or causes them to have to retest or retake their drug test is drinking an excessive amount of water just before you go in to take your drug test. Now, let's talk about how much water is too much and why this is actually a problem. So first off, it's important to note that it is important to be hydrated. I mean, you do have to be able to provide a pretty significant sample size amount when you go in to get your drug test performed. So you do want to keep yourself hydrated throughout the day. What I'm talking about here is people that chug a lot of water just before their drug test, thinking that this is just going to help flush the metabolites out of their system, or people that are not using drugs, that are clean, that aren't drug users and are not trying to get around the system or beat the test, chugging a whole bunch of water right before their test so that they will be able to provide a sample. That's just not the way that it works. You want to be kind of consistent throughout the day with your water intake and not chug the water right before your drug test. So how much is too much? Again, most physicians, most doctors will say that about 8 glasses of water a day is sufficient. From the Wentworth Institute, they say that drinking a liter of water within 1 hour of taking your drug test may cause your drug test, your sample, to be too dilute. So drinking a liter of water within that 1 hour time frame before taking your test. So how are we, the drug collectors, the drug testers, how are we going to know that your sample is too dilute? Well, there's really 3 ways that we will find this out. Number 1 is if we collect the sample, we're going to be examining it to see if it's got any contaminants in it or things like that. And if it looks like it's very, very dilute, like if it's very, very clear, it might cause a red flag to go off in our minds that it is too dilute. Now, if we don't think it's too dilute, we send it to the lab. They're going to be measuring it, and they're going to be measuring the specific gravity, and that's got to be within a certain range, and creatinine also has to be within a certain range. So the lab is going to test it, and again, if it comes back too dilute, that could be an issue. So here's what happens. If it comes back too dilute, you may be asked to retest. And this is a big issue, especially for people that are clean, that aren't worried about passing their drug test, but again, just drink a whole bunch of water right before their test to make sure that they can provide a sample. If it comes back too dilute, even though they're clean, they are still potentially going to have to retake that drug test, or at least justify why their sample was dilute. Now, if you come back positive, you come back positive. So whether it's dilute or not, if you get a positive result, it's not going to change the positive result. You're not going to get to retest if you say test positive for marijuana or any of the other things you're being tested for. A positive result is a positive result. You don't get a redo if your sample is too dilute, unfortunately. All right, so I hope that was very, very concise and to the point and useful. Keep yourself hydrated, but not overly hydrated when you go in to have your drug test performed. All right, until next time, everybody, stay safe.
Now, what's really interesting about that is ever since I've been a kid, I remember anytime people was going to get, a urine sample, when I myself had to go get give a urine sample, drink lots and lots of water. This is what you always was told, right? Drink lots and lots of water. And notice he said the same thing that the last person said, that, it doesn't mean that a person's trying to cheat, but because of how you, not just what you take, but how much of it you take. Okay. Example. Let me show you something. This is what I drink every day. Okay. Now, what did he just say about eight glasses of water a day? You see how big this is? This, I make sure. So if I'm drinking this whole thing, okay, the measurement comes all the way to here. So every day I make sure. You see what my water is right here? Okay, and it's only 12:08 right now in the afternoon. Okay, so this is where this is already. So I know that I got my 8 glasses in. So no matter how much I drink later, now, right, I got enough water intake. This is why you're constantly using the bathroom. Okay, someone who just drinks a lot of water. When I go out to eat at restaurants, I rarely drink anything other than like water with lemon. That's just my choice. So I drink a lot of water. Now, imagine me, right, not aware that how much water intake, simple water intake. Imagine me not being aware of that. Then I go to do a urine sample. I'm hydrated. Okay, I drink my water. But this is what I'm saying. So as a fighter, people act like they make it seem like they think that these doctors just pop up at your house. Hey, yeah, I got some information for you. Yeah, make sure you only drink a liter. Like, these are questions you can ask, but if it doesn't cross your mind because you're not aware, you can very easily, fail a test. Now, what did he just say? If it comes back positive, then it's just positive. You don't get a retake. And it could simply be because someone drank too much water. Not juice, not soda. You understand? Not milk, water. Not wine, not whiskey, not beer, nothing. Water. This is why we have to be careful with judgment, because all of a sudden everybody's a doctor, everybody's a scientist, everybody knows everything. And this stuff gets passed around. Like he said, we look at it, and if it looks too diluted, we send it to the lab, then they test it. What if they're using a machine that was faulty, was dirty? Let's say that can we honestly say, it's like if you've been to a hotel, oh, we have the best housekeeping staff. Then you go to your room, there's dust around the mirror frames, on top of the headboard, right? There's someone's panties under the bed. We just experienced that going to, coming from a vacation out in Virginia. Yeah. Someone's earrings. Yeah. But so that person did not go there and get everything. You understand what I mean? So then what happens? What's the first thing you're going to do? Hey, listen, I don't want to be a pain in the ass, but we're paying way too much money to be standing here like this, right? So we need another room, or you need to send somebody in there and really clean this room. Come down here and look. This is the dust that was on the headboard. This is like, oh my God, right? Okay. So you can't just assume, well, housekeeping, yeah, they did, but this is what I'm saying. Everybody is not honest. Everybody is not hardworking. Everybody don't give a damn. You have some people, man, whatever, right? And they half-ass it. So just say, and anytime something gets passed from one person to the next, you don't know, and that's why I say, like, imagine somebody come to you and say, hey, listen, man, I really need to win this fight. I know what you're saying, that my sample came with look off. Just say, can we say, like, we agree that referees get paid off, or believe they get paid off? You don't think somebody in the lab might somebody, man, this motherfucker offered me $10 million to shit, right? For $10 million, I piss in that cup for you. You don't think that people are above that? But just saying, without speculation, sticking to just what these two guys said, what did you hear? A person can be clean and still fail, even though they're not taking anything illegal. So this is what I'm saying. So all the drama, and see, when it comes to like what people consider an ordinary job, you don't hear all of this talk. But because it's boxing, it's a sport, it's automatically someone did something. This is all I'm saying. I'm just trying to bring awareness that we got to start looking at everything, not just what we want to see, what we want to believe. And I know Micaiah Mailer fans are like, yeah, she did it. I know that them and Leonardo too, all of these people now are starting to say what they're saying, but it's like they're not looking into anything other than what they heard. And if somehow VADA comes out and say we made a mistake, or something happens where there was some shady business and Alicia Baumgartner could prove her innocence, how many people do you think would actually really apologize for it? So, yeah. But again, I've spoken about that, and I just want people to hear this, because this is what I'm talking about. These are the things people don't think of. This is the boring stuff, right? The facts of what can happen. The truth about what can happen. It's just the nope. They said they did it, then they did it. But if it's a fighter they like, or they're pretty enough, they didn't do it. Pause. All right, now let's listen to this, because this is very interesting, okay?
Painkillers, blood thinners, and chemotherapy drugs are just some of the substances that are found in your drinking water. There's new information that some drugs are ending up in our water at levels never seen before. CBC's Kelly Crow has more on that.
There's something happening to the rainbow darter, a tiny fish that lives in the rivers of southern Ontario. If they're downstream from a sewage treatment plant, the male fish turn into females.
If you expose them to wastewater, they will feminize. They will have eggs in the testes.
What's causing the males to develop eggs? Human hormones, residue from prescription drugs that are flushed into the river. Using new highly sensitive equipment, scientists are finding an increasing variety of prescription drugs in the waterways. Painkillers, blood thinners, chemotherapy agents, hormones, antibiotics. If we swallow it, scientists can find it in the water.
Some of the drug comes in us and through us and out of us totally unchanged. So we actually have active drugs going into the waterway through our urine or feces.
Last month, a study of First Nations communities found levels of 3 prescription drugs in one southern Ontario river that were the highest in North America. And an unpublished Health Canada survey of tap water across the country found traces of prescription drugs in drinking water. Mark Servos is the lead author.
There are pharmaceuticals, as we expected, that are widely distributed in surface waters going into drinking water plants, and very low concentrations are detectable, but the concentrations are very, very low.
Because the drugs show up in such tiny traces, it would take hundreds of glasses of water before someone would be exposed to even a normal dose of the drug.
They're very low in concentrations. On the other hand, we have to be concerned because there's a mixture of these drugs that we're being exposed to in drinking water, and so that's some cause for concern.
Scientists still don't know if that combination of drugs in water poses a human health risk. That research has not been done. The World Health Organization calls it a knowledge gap. In Canada, there are no national standards for pharmaceuticals in drinking water, but environment officials are working on a water quality guideline for carbamazepine, an anti-epileptic drug that shows up almost everywhere. Kelly Crow, CBC News, Toronto.
Now,
Warning.
how many people do you think just think about this stuff on a regular basis or even care about it? This is from your drinking water. So you can go, even with those little filters, whatever, you can go to your sink, pour you something to drink, you drink this. Now you have a test to come up and people, oh, well, just drink bottled water. It would be wiser, right? It would be wiser, you think so. But at the same time, point is, if you are in your home, you simply drink water. Even if you out, no, so whatever, bottom line is you a water fountain. You're in the park jogging or something. Who the fuck wants to jog with a big bottle of water in their hand, right? And you're jogging and you stop at the water fountain of the park. You see what they're saying? This is coming from your drinking water. And it's not only in your home, wherever. So you're home and not aware that what they just said, human waste being in the water. And even with those little Brita filters and all that, it's not guaranteed that it's catching. No, you still put this in your body. And that's now imagine. And these combination of drugs and things that they said coming from human waste, feces and urine. And this is in our drinking water. So this is what I'm saying. Look, I have, doctors and nurses in my family as well. Okay. And listen, people, it is very easy. Okay. I went to my doctor. Okay. It's very easy to assume. I remember going to a doctor. This is probably about maybe good 6-7 years ago. And he was asking me, was I taking, now he looked at me and I'm going to explain. He looked at me. He looked at my physique and he asked me, was I taking anything for to work out, to increase power, strength or whatever. And the only thing that I used to take was protein. Okay, but it was like, it wasn't even, how you have the whey protein powders and stuff like that. It wasn't even that. This was like the what they call natural organic protein. And it was green, like crushed up greens and stuff. And that's what I was taking. Now, if you read it, it says that this is more even healthier and cleaner than the other type of artificial stuff that have flavoring and all. Like this is supposed to be organic. That's what I was taking, and that's all I was taking was protein. Nothing else. Nothing else in terms of anything like that's all I was taking. Just and basically when you're at work, you're on the road, you don't eat as much as you need to. You understand? So the proper things to put in your body and with the protein, because most people, what you eat throughout the day, most people don't eat the proper things to get their bodies the proper nutrients. So that's all I had. But he picked that up. This is what I'm saying. You want to know what I was told? And I wasn't trying to take any, I was just doing a physical. But what I was told was, this is something that they won't trace, like in terms of regular, like the artificial stuff, simply because it's organic. You want to know who told me that shit? A doctor. Do you understand what I'm saying? So, and the reason that he was even telling me that was because we were talking about how when people would they would take creatine they wasn't drinking enough water to flush it through their system. So they was getting like muscle cramps all the time. So this is where the conversation was going into. So he said a lot of people when they come in, they'll say they're not taking anything because they've been taking something for so long that it's just normal to them. But he said that was the worst thing they like as far as like people coming to him just for regular checkups and all. Not even because they were athletes or anything, but just during a regular checkup. But they would have so many high levels. It was so high that it was like he assumed, because if some people you look at, you can tell they work at, others you can't. And these people, a lot of them, they take so much because they're dependent on this powder or this pill to buff them up or whatever. So yeah, I just that's all I was taking was what's called organic, but something in there was showing up that basically got his attention. But it was a different doctor that told me that, oh, like this is stuff that don't even come up in your system. Because basically what happened was they're trying to sell you products, and he was asking me because I was taking the artificial stuff at times, because like I said, I would make a smoothie out of it. And you're on the road. Like I said, you're not eating the amount of food that you need. So this is what I was using as a supplement. And he was saying that the organic one is better. And because I was that guy too that came in there and he said that my creatine levels were high. So this is what I'm saying. This had nothing to do with boxing or any of that. It was just a regular checkup. But this is what I'm saying. Everybody does not have intentions to do wrong. But when you're in a sport, especially, and especially before a fight or like, after the fight, and this person, they failed their test. You can't, does it make any sense to say that a fucking testing organization has to be clean? They can't be dirty. Why would they risk it? But the fighter's risking it. The fighter's risking it, and they know that they're gonna have that they will be tested. So just saying, right? I'm not picking and choosing who I think is clean or dirty. I'm just saying this is things that people don't pay attention to. Just getting up thirsty one night, go get a drink of water from your sink, and you just put something in your body that's going to show up in the test, and then they're saying that you failed a test or you tested positive, and people are saying, because they're going to tell you, like when they tested, well, what it is they found, but where did this come from? Do you understand? Where did this come from? And let me say this before I end this video. Alicia Baumgartner, I hope that you are clean and that you didn't do anything shady. By the testing, and in regards to you guys or any other testing organizations out there, if it was on your part, I hope it was accidental. Dillian White, Connor Ben, Hannah Gabriels, you guys are the more recent. Chris Eubanks Sr. said he doesn't think that Connor Ben is dirty. The kind of young man he is now, you know him, he really don't think it. I don't know. Same thing I said to Alicia, I'm saying to you guys. I really hope that you guys were clean. And it was a false alarm, whether the truth of it gets out or not. But if it was a false alarm for all of you guys, I wish you nothing but the best, and I hope that it was a false alarm for you guys. Not for me, but for you. If it wasn't a false alarm and you guys were just dirty, I'm not going into what I said, what we think we know, what we feel based on, no. I'm saying I hope you guys were all clean. That was sucked to be penalized for something that you didn't do, but I hope you guys were clean. As for the people that have failed tests multiple times, it's going to be very difficult for you guys, and Dillian White is one of them, to get anybody to believe that you are clean. Now, this isn't about I'm saying this to make, like I gain nothing of making an excuse, and I don't retract anything I said. But I'm saying this because to bring awareness and to try to tap into the more common sense of things. All I'm saying is there are things that happen. You guys hear it for yourselves. There's more videos I could even add to this to let you guys listen to, but these are things that people don't think about. And again, I don't want to hear nothing about Bovada this and Bovada that. People are people. They're no superhumans. They're no goddamn, super geniuses or nothing. No. Honest people that are extremely careful, that take their job serious, people that won't take bribes, people that will, stand for can you say that you know these people personally, that they don't do this? I got best friends and people in my family who I can tell you what I see them do and don't see them do. I can't tell you what they do when they're not in front of me. I would like for the truth to be that there's certain things that they wouldn't do, but can I promise you that? No, I can't. So all I'm saying is, you just heard this, okay? And if you're too immature to absorb it and understand, don't respond to me with some dumb shit. Just understand, this is what I'm telling you. It is so easy for us to make accusations, and it can be some simple shit that we just not looking at. It's just like playing a lottery, right? You could play the pick 3, right? And you could play a whole bunch of numbers, and none of those numbers come out. And anytime you've done that, right? When the number come out, what's the first thing people say? Damn it, why didn't I play it? You know what? I should have. You didn't think to play that number. That number didn't even cross your mind. It's just because that's what came up. Now you're thinking about it. It always seemed I should, right? So it's always, everything seems like it's just so simple. Like you think you got all of it. No, you don't. But this right here is the type of things that I pay attention to because, like I said, and I know I wasn't taking nothing illegal or none of that stuff. But what I'm saying, my creatine levels was high because I was taking these things consistent with my workouts. And it was just protein. But the organic one, and this was like, and it was nothing I was trying to hide. It's just that I was told I need to drink more water than what I was drinking. I'm like, well, goddamn, I'm already drinking a bunch of water, right? So yes, you have to flush the shit out of your system. I wasn't getting cramps, but the doctor was telling me that, yeah, like all these people come in here, they get cramps. And I was hearing things about that as well. They were getting cramps because they wasn't flushing the creatine out of their system. Okay. So what the other doctor was saying was I won't ever have to worry about cramps with, the organic protein. But the point, what I'm saying is, it was still a high level of it that was detected when I went to the doctor. It wasn't harming me, but you see what I showed you that I'm drinking, right? Okay, and this was a while ago, but I've always done that. I drink a lot of water. It's like, and you need to because, and like even like, and plus what happens is like you do certain types of work, you can't drink that because you'll have to go to the bathroom every so often. And it's like, man, how many times you lay down, go to sleep at night, you wake up 3-4 times having to go to the bathroom because of that amount of water. So yeah, like I said, somebody can not be aware that, like they said, drink 1 liter of water an hour before. Not just drink a liter, okay? He didn't just say drink 1 liter. He said drink 1 liter of water about an hour before you go do your testing. But even if you did do, drink 1 liter of water an hour before your testing, what if your water was contaminated and you didn't know it? And I think when people hear the term contaminated, they think that, oh, well, you should be sick. Like, no, contaminated means it's enough of a substance in that water that it will show up in your test. And what people want to make sure is that you're not trying to cheat to do anything. Now, in terms of just a regular checkup, it's like, yeah, well, something that you ate or may have drank is in your test. And if in terms of your job, same thing. Something's positive, but what? So now they want you to retest. Now, what if you're not aware? What if it was because of your water? And you do the same thing. Drink 1 liter of water an hour before, but you're drinking contaminated water. Now, if the doctor says, where'd you get the water? Or what did you, and you say, all I did was drink water. Because you're not supposed to eat anything. And they'll tell you the only thing you can have is water. But what if, and you say, well, I got it from the sink in my house from the faucet. Well, I have a filter on it, right? Doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. So I thought this was interesting to bring to y'all attention because, You know, we all listen, man. I'm grown. I'm not into this little childish stuff, man. It's not about ooh, aha, nah, look what you did. That's not what it is for me. And I make excuses for no one. But there's so many things that we don't even think about. Watching this video, some of y'all might be going, "Oh, I'm not going to Canada," or if I go to Canada, I'm drinking nothing but bottled water. You know, everybody's not going to get up and boil their water first and then wait. And it's like this, right? If you take water, right? I've seen people do this though. I don't trust that faucet water. But they'll take their ice tray, fill it up with that same faucet water, and put it in the freezer to make ice cubes. And it's like, so you don't trust the faucet water, but the water that you used to make your ice cubes is from the faucet. So and not only that, you're chewing and crunching and eating the ice. So you do realize that you're still putting it in your body, right? Yeah, but it's different though. Okay, if you say so. So anyway, this is just an eye opener, man. You know, just bringing awareness. That's all. Talk to me in the comment section. Never fall in love with lies. Remember, the truth brings hate out of people. And I will catch y'all on the next video.